Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Krhizzy Pasigan, and welcome to our first Grab Conversations. Before we begin, here are some reminders for today's session. One, as we are recording this session for public viewing, please do keep your camera and audio off during the entire session. We will be having a Q&A after this morning's presentations, and we have opened a Zoom chat box for any questions that you may have for our panelists. For concerns or comments, our PR team will be ready to assist you, so please do not hesitate to reach out to them. We have a lot of interesting things to cover today. We will tackle our initial Grab response, and we'll give you a view of what's upcoming for Grab as we slowly transition to the new normal. So to get things started, I would like to introduce who will be leading our Grab Conversations panel for today. First and foremost, the spokesperson and public affairs manager of Grab Philippines, Attorney Nicka Hosaka. Next, he is the country marketing head of Grab Philippines, Mr. RJ Cabaluna. We also have the head of GrabFood and GrabMart in the Philippines, Mr. Dela Vega. And of course, the president of Grab Philippines, Mr. Brian Cruz. We are also honored to be joined by the Chief of Monitoring and Evaluation Division of the Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprise Development of the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, Ms. Cynthia de la Cruz. So to get things started, here to give us a context on why we are gathered here today, please welcome Mr. Brian Cruz to start.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Krhizzy. Pwede ka na pang game show with your introduction. But very safe and good morning to everyone here. I do hope you're all keeping safe and at home, and all your loved ones and families are all doing well. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today as we share some key highlights from our GrabBayanihan initiatives, as well as how we plan to help small businesses as we adapt to the new normal. This pandemic has brought about a number of challenges and changes. For many, this period has brought about many emotions of fear and doubt. There's no certainty when this trying period will be over. In fact, in just a matter of short weeks, we have been forced to change our ways of life. We have been asked to stay home, practice physical distancing, and adapt to new ways of living to be able to protect ourselves and our loved ones. It is also undeniable that this pandemic has come at a high cost for everyone. However, this morning is about looking ahead and moving forward. We have taken this period to reflect and reassess our priorities in order to design a clear path of what we can do to continuously protect and support our families, our loved ones, and our community. And it all starts with a dialogue with you and with everyone. Over the past months, our characters as Filipinos have been tested. And like every calamity that we face it bravely, together as one strong community. And Grab is humbled to be part of this very brave and resilient community. For many of you, Grab is an app that helps you do things that matter. However, in the past months, our Grab, has been connecting millions to millions to be part of each and every moment and to put forward the good that we can all do together. For the second year, we are sharing with everyone our social impact report to help us be inspired and to help our communities even more and solve for the many important issues around us. And we want you to be part of this journey of good, to deliver meaningful moments to those we know and we are yet to know, and to send a clear and brave message to everyone, that together we can rise from this painful and difficult moment and move forward for our loved ones and our communities. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Brian. And now to give us a few words, we are honored to have with us today Ms. Cynthia de la Cruz, the Monitoring and Evaluation Division Chief of the Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprise Development from the Department of Trade and Industry. As some of you may know, the Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprise Development is an attached agency of the Department of Trade and Industry, mandated to provide and develop micro and small medium enterprises, or MSMEs, in the country. It initiates and implements programs and projects addressing specific MSME needs in technology development and transfer, financing, marketing and training, and market promotion. Again, let us welcome Ms. Cynthia de la Cruz to give us a few words.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Morning, ma'am.
Yes, on behalf of DTI, I would like to first thank Grab Philippines for inviting us in this conversation in supporting micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, to cope with the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. We all know that last March, the government took the risk of implementing the enhanced community quarantine in Luzon, leaving only the most essential to operate and calling everyone to stay at home, precisely because keeping people safe was our priority. The disruption in supply chains and reduction in consumption due to quarantine measures and decrease in consumer demand have resulted to massive shutdowns, layoffs, and insolvencies among businesses, including MSMEs. About 390,000 MSMEs have stopped or closed their operation out of the 750,000 MSMEs monitored by the DTI Regional Operations Group in the first few weeks of the ECQ. But small businesses and the Filipino innate resilience took the pandemic as a challenge and immediately get back to business while operating in a chaotic and restrictive environment. The use of e-commerce accelerated, with many small businesses using social media, mobile apps, and every platform available to reach their customers. It created the new normal in the Philippine business, where almost everything is bought and transacted online. More importantly, with the help of thousands of riders who cordially attended to sellers and consumers, people's basic and urgent needs were met. One's favorite carinderia was able to operate because a delivery app made it possible for them to sell food to their customers. Medicines were being purchased by patients or their families with the help of riders who wait long lines to pick up medicines in pharmacies. People were doing their marketing to their suki in public markets and able to purchase fresh fish, meat, and vegetables, all with the help of logistic delivery channels. I know this by experience, and many of us who relied to mobile apps to do all our marketing, including our groceries. Consumers were aware of the convenience cost of having their purchases delivered. We consumers did not hesitate for as long as what we needed are delivered in our doorsteps. For most businesses, the logistics apps were their saving grace. It has opened up new streams of products and service delivery channels in the center of a pandemic. But more than just the apps or our phones, innovation calls us to realize that the way of doing business has changed, and that the resilience of MSMEs in the new normal demands their digital transformation. Recognizing the crucial role of MSMEs in jumpstarting the economy towards the digital economy, we at the DTI is creating an ecosystem supportive and accessible innovation for all. Recently, we have created the tech tools for MSMEs Reinvent Your Business during COVID-19 crisis microsite. The site aims to provide information to MSMEs on the different technology tools, applications, platforms, and resources to help them cope with the challenges of the community quarantine due to COVID-19. In the site, you will find information on getting into e-commerce, e-payment, digital marketing, logistics, work from home collaboration tools, productivity tools, webinars, e-learning, content development, video making tools, finding an expert, and government resources, among others. We have listed Grab, of course, among the logistics apps. You may view the tech tools for MSMEs at the DTI website. Digitalization is not new in our programs. Our more than 1,000 negosyo centers nationwide organize e-commerce training and is giving free website subscription to MSMEs through our partners. The DTI has also partnered with PhilExport, the exporters lead champion, along with the Department of Science and Technology, Department of Labor and Employment, and the Development Academy of the Philippines in a bid to support the adoption of Fourth Industrialization Revolution, or 4RR technologies among MSME exporters. We are also working on revisiting the 20-year-old E-Commerce Act, taking into account developments in technology, the Internet of Things, and the growing e-commerce sector in the Philippines. All of these initiatives are geared towards helping transform a digitally ready MSMEs. But we are all aware that the biggest challenge of our MSMEs nowadays is the lack of liquidity to restart operation. To support micro and small businesses affected by the economic impact of COVID-19, our Small Business Corporation has set up a 1 billion enterprise rehabilitation financing facility under the Pondo ng Pagbabago at Pag-Asenso COVID-19 P3ERF. Micro-enterprises with asset size of not more than 3 million may borrow 10,000 up to 200,000, while small enterprises with asset size of not more than 10 million may borrow a higher loan amount but will not exceed 500,000 at an interest rate of 0.5%. The pandemic has brought us many lessons, but it's also made us realize many potential benefits of digitalization. And while there are many threats to consumers, we cannot watch other countries reaping its benefits while staying disconnected and digitally behind others. In closing, please allow the DTI to be your partner in ensuring that we will keep business opportunities open to all, especially to those whose business agenda align well with the government's effort to support MSMEs. Certainly, digital transformation would be a key to getting the global economy and our lives back on track. The DTI is one with all of you and the Grab, of course, in hoping that with our collective action, we will soon see our economy out of this crisis. Thank you po. And mabuhay tayo.
Maraming salamat, Ms. Cynthia de la Cruz. We are so excited to have you here with us today, especially for our panel discussion later on. So earlier, Brian mentioned a social impact report, and just now, Ms. Cynthia walked us through and explained to us what we can do to support MSMEs in the Philippines and make them digitally ready. These will be the key focus areas of today's event. So now, I would like to give the floor to the country marketing head of Grab Philippines, Mr. RJ Cabaluna, to discuss the first half of this event, Grab's social impact report in time of the COVID-19 pandemic, and he will then be followed by attorney Nicka Hosaka and EJ de la Vega to discuss what's next for Grab Philippines in this new normal. RJ, please take it away.
Hi, thank you, Krhizzy. So, RV, can you go to the next slide, please? So, good morning, everyone. The fact that we're holding a virtual briefing is an example of how much COVID-19 has changed the way we live and work. And in the Philippines, we are all aware that millions of lives and livelihoods have been impacted by this. As COVID-19 reached the country, the entire Luzon, together with key cities and communities, were placed under ECQ, and public transportation, including ride-hailing, was suspended. Next, please. However, despite the suspension of our core business, the priority of Grab remains clear. How do we protect the lives and livelihoods of Filipinos during these trying times? Pre-COVID, Grab may mean many things to many Filipinos. For some, we are ride-hailing. For others, we are a delivery platform, satisfying every thirst or hunger, or helping send across things that matter the most to our kababayans. People also regard us as an e-wallet, helping them send and receive money. Grab may mean many things to many of us, but in this time of uncertainty, of doubt, and of unprecedented concern, we distilled many points of view And one valuable message remains clear. We need and we want to be there to protect and support of lives of many Filipinos who depend on us and the work that we do. Next, please. That is why we launched GrabBayanihan, because we believe that this uncertainty that we are all facing would require an act or a solution for each and every one of us. And with the true meaning of Bayanihan, a spirit unique to us Filipinos, we have launched several initiatives that not only inspired, but helped bring forward our willingness to help one another. Grab Bayanihan is not just our way of responding to the crisis, but also our way of helping Filipinos recover and navigate the new normal, a term that we all have been hearing ever since the crisis happened. So let me bring to you on the over to the next slide a snapshot of what Grab Bayanihan focuses are and what these key areas are solving for rather. So the first one being, how do we get to protect and support the lives and livelihoods of our driver partners? Followed by, how do we actively protect those who are vulnerable and serving on the front lines? How do we support those who are staying at home and helping flatten the curve? And finally, how do we help small businesses grow amidst an embattled economy? So let me run through you each of those key pillars. Starting off with the first one on safeguarding the health and welfare of our driver partners, right? So we've deployed safety policies that protect the health and welfare of our driver partners, such as contactless delivery, regular temperature checks, beefing up our Grab safety hotline, and a robust tracing system in tandem with the government and health officials. So financial assistance have also been offered to those similar financial assistance to cover medical bills to driver partners who test positive for COVID-19. Also, we are equipping our driver partners with face masks, alcohol sanitizers, to safely fulfill delivery services for consumers staying at home during the ECQ. We are also protecting our partners' livelihoods amid a national health crisis. So even prior to the implementation of the enhanced community quarantine, Grab Financial Services Philippines immediately rolled out deferred payment arrangements on the loans of our driver partners. Likewise, Grab Philippines has also worked closely with several of our institutional partners, Bank, BPI, RCBC, Union Bank, Robinsons Bank, Metro Bank, UCPB, and Toyota Financial Services to provide car loan payment breaks for our driver partners to ease financial burdens, which our driver partners may face during this time of livelihood disruption. With public transportation being suspended following the announcement of the enhanced community quarantine, Grab has been able to offer virtual training to its Grab car drivers and quickly onboard them as GrabFood, GrabExpress, GrabMart delivery partners in the time being. And across Southeast Asia, more than 149,000 driver partners have temporarily been transitioned to Grab's delivery fleet, thus allowing them to have a more alternative source of income for their families. To help them tide through their financial needs, Grab has also given its driver partners access to several pools of financial aid. Through its dialogue with our government, Grab has been able to confirm that DTI, through its lending arm SB Corp, has extended an SME loan support to our driver partners. To add, Grab has worked closely with the LTFRB and DSWD and was able to include thousands of our driver partners as beneficiaries of the government social amelioration program. Lastly, Grab has dedicated and provided access to an emergency support fund to help support our driver partners tide through the period of uncertainty as public transportation and the TNVS remain suspended in most areas in the country. And a final piece on this part is that we are extending our support to driver partners in means that together with our employees, communities, and corporate partners, we have raised more than 20 million pesos in relief items, which would include grocery vouchers, rice, canned goods, medicine, and drinks that would benefit over 65,000 driver partners. And given the uncertainty of the situation around the suspension of public transport, Grab has distributed relief items to our driver partners in batches weekly. Next slide, please. And since the implementation of the enhanced community quarantine, Grab has worked in tandem with our local government partners to support healthcare workers and frontliners by providing free of charge mobility solution in the form of Grab Wheels. So Grab Wheels is a Grab's e-scooter service, and close to 100 units have already been deployed across 12 key cities: Manila, Quezon City, Marikina, San Juan, Pasig, Muntinlupa, Pasay, Navotas, Cainta, Iloilo, Bacolod, and Davao. So across the country, with even more than 150 more units of Grab Wheels awaiting deployment to other LGUs and hospitals. Secondly, to assist local government units in distributing food and medical supplies within their cities, Grab has also deployed specialized car delivery fleets that were sent over to the city governments of Quezon City, Caloocan, Muntinlupa, Pasig, and Pasay. Since its development, this fleet has been supporting the local government units for free. Grab has also used its platform to rally its users and communities by developing several donation streams and mechanics using Grab Rewards points or Grab Pay. Grab was successful in harnessing the power of its platform and raised almost 10 million pesos, which was used to purchase and donate PPEs and meals for the benefits of those serving on the front lines, and food bags for those who are vulnerable and greatly impacted by this pandemic. Next, please. RV, next, please. Okay. So within weeks, Grab was able to introduce a new service, Grab Express Pabili, to help buy daily necessities such as medicine and other essentials to those unable to leave their homes, most especially the PWDs and senior citizens. Grab was able to serve more households and communities as it continues to expand its Grab Express services to Iloilo, Davao, Pampanga, and Bacolod. Grab has also made cashless payments more convenient and secure for those staying at home as it expands to more cashless services. Through Grab's tech innovation, users can now pay their bills, send money to their loved ones, pay for food and parcel deliveries straight from the Grab app on their mobile phones. And in a time where queuing for groceries might be challenging for many, Grab has made it even more convenient for Filipinos to shop for daily necessities and essentials on demand. With the introduction of GrabMart, now users can simply shop for their groceries without even leaving the safety of their homes. And to provide timely and relevant public service announcements to the residents of Manila and Pasig, Grab has dedicated around 2 million pesos worth of advertising space on the Grab app to serve as an information conduit to these city governments. The following one is about how Grab is able to support small businesses. I turn you over to Nicka.
Thank you, RJ. So given this current situation that we are in, how do we now leverage on Grab's tech innovation to support small local businesses while still offering reliable services to the Filipino community? And there has been a lot of discussion on this new normal. And as earlier mentioned by Ms. Cynthia, a lot of the small businesses have actually shifted to the digital space. And this is precisely what the Madiscarding Boss Club, for example, has continued to support. It has significantly grown in this time of uncertainty and community quarantine. While we actually started this program way before the quarantine began, it has, through continuous mentorship and also providing privileges to MSMEs and other partner social sellers, this has grown significantly over the past few months while the community was still under quarantine. And aside from that, we have also continuously worked with the different agencies of the Philippine government. Even before this current new normal, Grab has always worked with the public sector in providing solutions to day-to-day community needs. And right now, more than ever, Grab, along with other private companies, we've seen have actually taken its role in partnering with the government, because we know that Grab, for example, has a unique take on government policy implications and therefore are able to provide certain innovations that will assist the government through this crucial time to address pandemic challenges. Just to discuss some of these initiatives, we have recently entered into partnerships with the Department of Agriculture, wherein we support the Kadiwa ni Ani at Kita program, as well as the Department of Tourism's Philippine Harvest Initiative. And in these initiatives or in these partnerships, Grab leverages on its tech leadership and robust market access to help farmers, farming communities, agripreneurs, those local producers to earn more and to be able to reach more consumers. We're also using our Grab Express service in order for these small businesses, these farmers, and MSMEs to be able to deliver their products to those who are staying at home and who do not have access to fresh produce. Aside from this, we also are still in partnership with the Department of Trade and Industry, as was earlier mentioned. We take part in the MSME Reboot program of the DTI, wherein we provide mentorship through webinars or even providing one-on-one mentorship to MSMEs, especially those who are new in the digital space. And lastly, we continue to support the LGUs in their livelihood program, especially for those who have been displaced by this pandemic. For example, we have entered into partnerships with the city government of Manila, whereby those displaced, those tricycle drivers displaced by the current pandemic are now being considered or will now form part of the delivery partner fleet of Grab. Grab aims to provide alternative means of livelihood to at least 20,000 displaced workers. We also expect to onboard more than 5,000 MSMEs in the Grab platform to help them in overcoming the challenges posed by this pandemic.
Thank you, Nicka. So allow me to go through the results of what we've had achieved actually for GrabBayanihan. So with all of these initiatives, innovations, and activities that we have rolled out to solve for these 4 key response to the effects of the pandemic, we are pleased to share with everyone that between March and June 2020, the GrabBayanihan program was able to protect and support at least 3.6 million Filipinos from the adverse effects of the pandemic. This includes customers who were able to use the innovations offered by the platform to help them cope with the pandemic, driver partners who were able to earn a living by serving their communities, small businesses who were able to serve customers through the platform and in turn provide for their staff, as well as frontliners, displaced families, and patients who were able to benefit from the platform's fundraising initiatives either through GrabPay or Grab Rewards. Between March and June 2020, almost 12,000 merchants were onboarded to the Grab platform in the Philippines. Small businesses saw at least 57% growth in online revenue through Grab during this period. We have recently released our social impact report for 2019 to 2020. And you may learn more about the other initiatives of Grab that we have championed across Southeast Asia. And aside from these findings from our COVID response efforts, we have seen several key themes as we all navigate towards the new normal. Thank you. So now I think Krhizzy will bring over to EJ.
Yep. Actually, we have Nicka again to explain to us what's the next for the Philippines in a time of COVID-19 pandemic. Nicka?
Thanks, Krhizzy and RJ. So as we move towards opening up the economy slowly, we've actually seen a lot of countries around the world starting to open up businesses again and easing community quarantine measures. But we also see that a lot of infections are still happening. A lot of countries still report rising numbers of those who are being infected by the virus. And so while we start to look ahead and to see what this new normal or where this new normal will take us, we still want to make sure that the safety and health of the public is our top priority. We don't know if others may enter into stricter lockdowns. We also don't know if this new normal will actually be able to curb what we are trying to prevent in the first place. But what we see or what we know is that we need to be prepared in an eventuality of a prolonged recession, one that will be marked by many fluctuations. It is a reality that we do have to face, but at the same time, we know that we are prepared to do this and we have the tools to do so. Next slide, please. As we face this new normal that everyone is referring to, there's a need for heightened awareness around hygiene and sanitation, and will likely be the most permanent change that arises from the COVID-19 pandemic. As was earlier discussed by RJ, we engaged with the government, especially with the LTFRB, for the transport service of Grab. And this new normal or these new safety protocols that were implemented are here to stay for a while, right? And this is something that consumers are to practice for months to come. Consumers are also likely to remain cautious about venturing out even after the lockdowns and given worries of a second wave of infection. But like what was earlier mentioned, we want to be able to assure them of a certain degree of safety so that they are able to continue continue living their lives despite this new normal. When consumers do, they will seek to reduce their risk of exposure to infection, and they will likely prioritize food and beverage outlets that have stringent hygiene standards and may opt for modes of transportation that are perceived to lower their risk of exposure. Next slide, please. And so the way to address this, for example, we've learned that 76% of our merchant partners want more support in increasing their online visibility, given the fact that most consumers will still purchase online. most consumers will still move towards that digital shopping, that digital purchasing. And so from an internal survey that we conducted, to be able to provide online help to our partner merchants, we were able to learn that a lot of them want more support to help increase their online visibility. Next slide. Aside from that, 50% want tools to help them innovate to reach their customers. Part of this, of course, is marketing their business and developing insights to grow their businesses. We will see that because a lot of consumers will still opt to stay home, work from home will still be a new normal, and consumers would want to, merchants would want to reach their consumers on a digital platform. This is something that our merchant partners would want help on, specifically to be able to market their businesses and to be able to provide or to reach more people, and as well as making sure that they are following safety and health protocols in this time of pandemic. Next up, I think EJ will be discussing our program for small businesses.
Thanks, Nicka. As a result of what we've seen and as a result of these insights that we've gathered from our partner merchants, we've come up with what we're calling Grab's Small Business Booster Program. Most especially during the past few months, it has really shown Grab that we have a very important role that we play in driving digitalization across Southeast Asia and helping the MSMEs in each country grow their revenues. We have the technology, scale, and reach through platforms like GrabFood, GrabExpress, and GrabMart to help small businesses adapt and thrive in the new normal. As we move into a post-COVID world, this is where Grab continues to dedicate majority of its efforts. In essence, our approach is twofold. The first is that we want to help businesses go online, but on top of that, we also want to help them achieve the ability to grow online. That involves a number of initiatives, which I will go through in the next few slides. The first is what we're calling Grab Merchant. It will be our all-in-one self-serve merchant platform. The Grab Merchant platform will have all the critical tools that a small business would need to unlock maximum value from the Grab platform. The Grab Merchant app will replace the existing GrabFood merchant app and will be the single platform to help all our merchants run a successful online business. It will be a unified app for all merchants across GrabFood, GrabMart, and GrabPay. Beyond managing daily operations, merchants will be able to create ads to help stand out, as well as get access to an enterprise-grade analytics dashboard. The Grab Merchant app will be a newly designed app that will help with day-to-day operations and provide all the tools that a business would need. It's a portal for MSMEs and larger chains to get a 360-degree view across their store network and make better decisions to drive their growth. In the near future, merchants would even be able to get access to our financial products via Grab Merchant. One of the key features within Grab Merchant is the ad manager. As previously described by Nicka, one of the things that businesses need the most is that they need more visibility. With Grab having such a robust platform, tools like the Grab Merchant Ads Manager will help them boost their presence on the Grab app. And more importantly, also help drive just general presence for a lot of our merchant partners. If you note, a lot of MSMEs in the country, as we've moved towards a new normal, don't even have a social media presence. So having tools like the Ads Manager within Grab Merchant should help with that. With every business having the ambition to grow, some have told us that they don't know how to use paid advertisements, or that they're too expensive, or that they're generally just too busy. So we're hoping that this self-serve ads creation tool for them makes it a lot easier for them to get the visibility that they need, not to mention track the performance in real time using the app itself. Merchants simply fill out the fields required, set amounts that they would like, and the app automatically generates ad banners for them. One of the objectives that we have as we develop this feature in the near future is to make it as simple and as easy as possible for anyone to use. Secondly, insights. We want every merchant, big or small, who is on the Grab platform to have the ability to make data-driven decisions about their business. Our enterprise-grade insights tool gives merchants a view into their sales, their operations, even their customer profiles and purchasing habits. We envision that restaurants would be able to see what items really drive conversion, what items will help with their inventory, and better plan for their inventory rather, and ultimately even the effectiveness of all the marketing campaigns that they run. This allows merchants to quickly spot and respond to new opportunities. As an example, finding what items are best selling on their platform allows them to create bundled meals, right? And at the same time, address any operational inefficiencies that they observe. And lastly, leveraging Grab's platform as a whole, we also hope that the Grab Merchant platform and GrabPay in general come together by creating an offline to online with GrabPay program to help businesses set up their online storefronts. As mentioned earlier, a lot of businesses have moved towards the online space to be able to sell their products. And with a landing page on grab.com, offline businesses can then connect with Grab store builder partners to set up their online stores, integrated with GrabPay checkout for e-payments. Once an online storefront is built, merchants simply need to activate GrabPay checkout as an option for their payments. And now to talk about our Homegrown Heroes initiative, back to RJ.
Thank you, EJ. So finally, since the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been actively finding ways to increase the visibility of our local businesses on our platform for them to be able to drive demand to their stores. This is something that we have actively supported, as well as with our Madiscarteng Boss Club. So on average, merchant partners who place an ad on GrabFood's homepage see up to 300% return on ad spend. The Homegrown Heroes initiative will see Grab creating personalized ads for over 1,000 GrabFood and GrabExpress merchant partners in the Philippines, featuring them on the most prominent spaces within the app for a 5-week period starting in July. Grab will cover the costs and resources required to produce these marketing materials. So across Southeast Asia, Grab is committing $3.5 million in free ads to promote our Homegrown Heroes. We will be creating personalized ads for around 6,000 local businesses across all of our Grab verticals and feature them on our app for 5 weeks starting in July. So yeah, thank you guys. So that brings up, I guess, our GrabBayanihan initiatives as well as our Grab Homegrown Heroes initiative. Back to you, Krhizzy.
Thank you, RJ. So you guys have seen our social impact report summarizing all of our support for the GrabBayanihan initiative in this COVID-19 pandemic. EJ and the team also walked you through some of the merchant support program that we are promoting to help our merchants go through this pandemic as we move on to the new normal. At this point, we now move on to the Q&A session. So we ask our speakers, RJ, Nicka, EJ, Brian, and also Cynthia de la Cruz to please go online as we go through the questions. To our media friends, please make sure you log or you put your questions in the chat box in the Zoom channel so that we can address it accordingly. Okay, I guess to start, the first question is for Ms. Cynthia de la Cruz. Ma'am Cynthia, what do you think are the areas of opportunities that the private sector can help or can do to help DTI support our SMEs?
Right now, we're working on improving the supply chain disruption. I believe the Grab has a lot of potential in helping the DTI and of course our MSMEs bridge this gap.
Yes.
And
Okay,
we're
but
also
I guess
excited with the small business booster program. I think the Grab will really improve the visibility of our MSMEs given your network of the Grab.
so. This is again one of the focus areas is improving visibility and helping SMEs go online or digitize in this new season. I now turn to RJ Cabaluna. I guess the next question that we got is that how did COVID-19 change or impact Grab's social impact focus in the Philippines?
Okay. So COVID-19 did bring about the immediate and urgent issues that we needed to address quickly. However, our long-term social impact goals remain the same. So, for example, we remain focused on driving digital inclusion for everyone in the Philippines and Southeast Asia. The pandemic, in many ways, has made that an even greater priority. That is why also, as what EJ has also discussed, that's why we're launching the small business booster program.
Thank you, RJ. The next question is for Nicka Hosaka. You know that Grab has been quite active with its government partnerships, especially those in the agriculture sector. Can you please share why or explain to us what's the reason behind these partnerships?
Right. These partnerships are essentially two-sided, right? In the same way that the Grab platform is two-sided. Number one side is actually to address that struggle of farmers, of producers who are unable to reach consumers and who are unable to sell what they produce because of the lockdown, because of the quarantine that happened. And on the other side, you now have the consumers who are at home, who do not really go out to buy fresh produce. And that's precisely the dichotomy that we wanted to solve. And the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Tourism, in their current projects, gave us that opportunity to help out and to make sure that the produce would reach the consumers, while at the same time supporting the livelihood of our local farmers. And we were fortunate enough to be tapped by both the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Tourism in providing this solution to the farmers and to the consumers.
Nicka, just a follow-up question. Do we have a target as to how many farmers or how many people do we intend to help with this partnership with the agriculture sector?
Currently, there are already a lot of merchants onboarded by the Department of Agriculture in their separate program and by the Department of Tourism in their other program, right? And for now, what we see in terms of growth, we've already seen around 40 to 50 merchants on the Department of Tourism Philippine Harvest project. And what we're looking at is actually to reach about 100 in the coming weeks. This is something that we're very excited to do because presently, while the Department of Tourism has partner merchants already, we feel that with the help of Grab, we will be able to add more merchant partners to that program as well.
My next question is for Brian and for EJ. I guess after giving support for our driver partners and for our consumers, why is Grab focusing its efforts now on supporting small businesses in the Philippines?
Just as riders and our driver partners make up a big part of our ecosystem, specifically for GrabFood, our merchant partners make up an equally big part. And we know that during the first few months of the pandemic, a lot of these merchants were pretty badly hit, and are now figuring out how to get back on their feet. So as more of these restaurants and merchant partners open up, we want to ensure that we are here for them to help them get back on their feet. Based on the conversations that we've had, a lot of the merchants, the food merchants, are only hitting up to, maximums already 30% of what pre-lockdown levels used to be, which during pre-lockdown was the portion of deliveries that they would do. So they pretty much lost all the dine-in revenue that they used to have. So what we want to do is really help boost their sales by through the advertising programs that we mentioned, that the team mentioned a while ago, to help drive more traffic for these restaurants. Aside from this, we're also helping them with certain cash flow issues. We've extended payment terms to a lot of the merchants, which would also help them store up cash again to help them get back on their feet.
Just to add to it,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, ultimately we view it as this isn't a short-term thing that we want to do. As Brian had mentioned, our merchant partners have become a very integral part of the Grab platform. We view this as a very long or a multi-year commitment to helping our merchants recover. As Brian mentioned, dine-in has been, in the case of GrabFood, for example, dine-in businesses have been severely hit. We want to make sure that we're continuing to support, not just in the short term, but in the long term. The issue on safety and the ability to gather in public spaces will continue to be an issue moving forward. And so our investment in our merchant partners reflects the sort of long-term view that we have towards this recovery.
That said, EJ, let's discuss the Grab merchant platform that you have mentioned a while ago. So how is the Grab merchant app different from the existing GrabFood app or GrabFood merchant app in the Philippines? And how do you think that can benefit our merchant partners here?
So it will actually replace the existing GrabFood merchant app. What we wanted to do is, again, leveraging on our strength as an overall platform where anyone can pretty much do anything, whether that's transport, food, groceries, deliveries. On the merchant side, this helps consolidate everything into one place. We are building features that are really geared towards digitizing a lot of the merchant sides of the business, and taking into consideration, as you guys saw earlier, the insights that we've already gathered from our merchant partners, right? So a lot of the things will roll out in the next few months, and we want to continue to make sure that we improve, gather more insights, get more feature requests, etc. But just in the next few months, what I talked about earlier, the ads creation tool and the insights tool, those are sort of what we'll be launching first.
Got it, got it. Do we know exactly when the Grab merchant app is launching in the Philippines?
Yeah, so it's already live across a number of markets outside the Philippines, so across Southeast Asia. For the Philippines, we do want to have it rolled out within the next few months.
Got it, got it. I think for RJ, you mentioned earlier about the Homegrown Heroes campaign, basically helping merchants get access to marketing support. Can you explain how this Homegrown Heroes campaign works exactly, and how you guys will create personalized ads for about 1,000 small businesses in the Philippines?
Okay, so we will be building a library of ad backgrounds, icons, and images that will be used to create thousands of ad versions that look different from one another. So it's an automation tool that will select the most relevant combination according to the merchant's business type, unique selling points, etc. And again, these ads will then be featured on the best ad space on our app for free.
Got it, got it. And how are we selecting these small merchants to get on board our Homegrown Heroes platform or Homegrown Heroes campaign?
Oh, we've actually invited hundreds of small local businesses. These are the ones that have less than 3 outlets and have been active on our platform, to see if we would be able to, if they would be keen to join the campaign. And actually more than 1,000 businesses have already signed up for the campaign.
Okay, just for, I think, everyone's appreciation, by small businesses, what do we mean by these? Are these like mom and pop shop, or are these like your small merchants or small restaurants? Can you give us more information about this so we can all understand?
Oh, so these are the small mom and pop shops. Like I said, these are the ones with less than 3 outlets but have been, of course, active on our platform.
Got it, got it. I think I go back to Ma'am Cynthia de la Cruz. Ma'am, for DTI, do you think which type of businesses would most likely need the support in transitioning towards the digital platform also? From your pool of merchants, ma'am, which of those do you think need digitization support the most?
I think Brian has already mentioned. Number one, of course, are the restaurants. They would really need that in order to increase their visibility. We also need our retails, also those involved in garments and in the fashion industry. They also need that kind of support at this moment when demand has actually gotten worse. And also, I think even in the service industry, support would also be needed.
Got it, got it. I think the question that I have for Brian now is that how do we view our merchant support, not just for GrabFood, but for the whole of services that Grab offers? So Nicka mentioned earlier about the Discarding Boss program. How do we intend to support all of the merchants that we have on our platform?
You know, one thing unique about the situation we're in, imagine if this lockdown happened, 7-8 years ago. A lot of these small micro businesses that are selling on informal channels like Viber or Facebook wouldn't have means to get their products to the hands of their customers, right? And it wouldn't have created a lot of this means for survival for a lot of the citizens who were placed in lockdown. So Grab Express has been one of the couriers that has, I guess, supported in a big way a lot of these micro merchants, and programs like Madiscarding Boss Club will continue to push this support towards this micro merchant community. We're also exploring putting some of these micro merchants on ads on the platform for them to be more visible. But I think just giving them that core backbone of delivery support, and then you have GrabPay there for payments, is already providing sort of a big part of their ability to be able to still make a living despite being locked down at home.
Got it, got it. I now open the floor to questions from our friends from the media. I think Roy has shared his comments or questions to us. So I think questions 1 and 2 are about transport. How many Grab drivers are online since Grab was allowed to operate ride-hailing services again, versus how many drivers do we have right now? So Roy, I'd skip this only because the discussion is really about support for merchant partners. And I'd go ahead to the second question. So how many new Grab bike riders do you register during the lockdown, and how many in total? Brian or Nicka, do you have any information to share about new Grab bike riders that registered during the lockdown?
So Grab bike for delivery, right?
Roy, can you clarify this question? Do you mean for delivery, or do you mean for the two-wheel service?
Is these motorized bikes or the cyclists, the pedal bikes?
Yep. Roy? For the cyclists, he said.
Cyclist.
Yeah, I thought so, because this is a very relevant topic now. So we did see a lot of new registrants that came into the platform for cyclists. EJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last statistic was around 7% of all our providers are on non-motorized means, right? This is either cycling or people who walk from one location to another within a 1 kilometer area to provide the food.
Yeah, that's right. So it fluctuates week on week, and it also depends on the demand on certain areas, but roughly around 7 to 10%. So almost 1 in every 10 deliveries is actually delivered by a cyclist. And we were very proactive with doing this, even as we moved a lot of our Grab car drivers who had motorbikes over to our delivery services. We also saw the need or the general sentiment that not everybody has a motorbike. So we wanted to make sure that even if you had just a bicycle, or even if you know your area well enough, and it's in a dense enough area, if you want to walk to deliver food or parcels, for example, we enable that. So roughly 7 to 10% of our Grab food orders, at least, are delivered by cyclists.
Yeah. Roy, I cannot share actual specifics in terms of a number of GrabFood riders in general, motorbike, but I think both EJ and Brian have shared with you other opportunities that can happen on the GrabFood platform. So that includes having our Grab bike riders or bicycle riders, and also Grab food delivery riders on foot rather. So these are those who walk in a certain area to deliver the orders. I go to the next question of Roy again. Do we have any outlook for this year on the number of merchants or riders we'll have, at least on the Grab food platform, EJ?
I mean, generally, I think as we're adjusting to the new normal, our business is also adapting as well. It's very difficult to sort of forecast or predict the peaks and troughs of when merchants or riders will come in. I think what we want to focus on is just making sure that it's balanced. Right? It doesn't make sense for us to always look at, if it's an upward trajectory, always look upward. So it's a little difficult. I think what's more important for us is that we're always balanced, not necessarily that we're always upwards.
Yep. I think the next question again for EJ, this one is very interesting. During the course of the pandemic, what did Grab do to help merchants sign up to the platform, especially since many of them haven't had any revenues for a while?
Yeah, so some of our first priorities were for those that were under lockdown. As we've seen varying degrees of quarantine, our first priority is to make sure that our merchants who are reopening get reactivated on the platform as well. Obviously, we've seen a huge spike in just more merchants wanting to go on board as well. So we've boosted up and bolstered up our team rather, as much as we can to accommodate the sort of inbound requests to be on platforms like GrabFood, GrabExpress, GrabMart, or even the MBC or Madiscarting Boss Club. For very new merchants, as we mentioned earlier, a lot of these merchants are kind of very new to the digitalization space and the idea of selling their products online. Some of the things that we do are, we offer trial rates as well to make sure that they're more comfortable with their first steps into the Grab platform. So those are just a number of things that we've done to make sure that the transition into this new normal and new space of digitalization is a lot smoother.
Last question again for Roy. Can you talk about the growth in your demand in terms of food orders? Roy, can we qualify this? Is this during the pandemic or is this before the pandemic? During pandemic, Roy said.
Right. As I mentioned earlier, I mean, we've seen varying degrees of quarantine implemented across our country, and we've noted very similar situations in other countries as well. At the peak of our lockdowns, at least in the Philippines, we've seen demand even hit levels where it, on some weeks have tripled. But we kind of see it going up and down and in flux. That's why I mentioned the point earlier about being in balance. But at its peak, it hit pretty significantly high numbers. Obviously, we are adapting to the new changes in quarantine as well as more people either go back to work. But that was what it was at its peak.
Got it. Question from Bernie Maghilat of Manila Bulletin. The 57% growth in online revenue of your merchants, do you have specific value to that, EJ?
This is just on average. So what we did was we just generally looked at the number of merchants that we've had and the amount of sales that we've been able to generate for depending on that number. And that's how we were able to calculate it, at least on an aggregate level. So as I mentioned earlier, we've definitely seen demand and more demand for things like online food delivery, But this also encompasses all our services, right? We have, for merchants that aren't necessarily food, these small businesses, that includes Grab Express as well, online transactions via Grab Pay. So it's more of an all-encompassing metric, not necessarily just tied specifically to one vertical like food.
Got it, got it. For those who still want to ask questions, please put your questions in the chat box. The next one is for, I think, Brian or Nicka. The question is, after the partnership with the Department of Agriculture, are we looking at other government partnerships to help support more merchants in the Philippines?
Let me just provide a brief answer, and then Nicka could go into details. After the Department of Agriculture partnership, we entered into another one with the Department of Tourism, which I think Nicka touched on a while ago. And another one that's a bit close to my heart is an LGU partnership that we entered with the City of Manila, whereby we would onboard up to 2,000 of displaced tricycle and jeepney drivers onto the various delivery platforms that we have that they would be able to work on. And in addition to that, around 500 micro merchants, which were given a special introductory rate for GrabFood, for them to have a taste of what it would be like to sell online. And it really brings out the local favorites of a city and giving the citizens of that LG or that neighborhood access to it, even if they're at home and not going out. So I think that's very exciting because it really hits the heart of the taste and that flavor in a local community, and being able to help the SME while being able to give the people who enjoy that kind of food access to it even during a lockdown period.
Got it.
Right. So just to add briefly to what Brian said, what he earlier described with the Manila partnership is something that we also intend to propagate for other LGUs as well. We are looking at possibly doing this or replicating this in other LGUs, particularly on helping out the displaced workers or tricycle drivers, or even those small sellers at a time like this. So aside from that, we still continue our partnership with the DTI, wherein we are actively part of the Reboot program. It's actually a series that we're doing with them. It's not just a one-off. We intend to continue this for as long as necessary. And like what I earlier mentioned, it's focused primarily on mentorship for MSMEs that the DTI would determine and onboard.
Got it. Next question, I guess, is for RJ. From Irma Isip of Malaya Business Insight, can I seek clarification on the 300% increase mentioned on the impact of Grab ads to merchants? Is that sales or is that our orders?
That is in sales.
Got it. Next question from Luella Desiderio of Philippine Star. By how much is the introductory rate for small businesses lower than the regular rate to get on the GrabFood platform? EJ, can you address this one?
Yeah, generally it's about 10% lower than everyone else. 10 percentage points rather. So for trial rates, that's what we kind of try to aim for, particularly for the MSME segment, right? So it's a very specific group of merchants that we want to help kind of introduce the platform to.
Yeah. The follow-up question is, how long is the trial rate for this, EJ?
It varies depending on whether it's location and our familiarity. It usually lasts a couple of months as we help gather data and information for the merchants and whatever they're comfortable with. So we work very closely with them. There's no one size fits all that we do with our merchants. We just want to make sure that we work with them and have a certain level of comfort for both them and other partners as well. So there's no, I guess, hard set single approach that we have when it comes to onboarding partner merchants.
Got it. I go back to Ma'am Cynthia de la Cruz. Ma'am, there's a question asking which industry is adopting well in terms of the digitization of platforms or going digital for SMEs?
Surprisingly, the micro enterprises were actually very quick in adapting to e-commerce. Because of social media, they were able to really get on board through online business. The teleservices are also the second in the industry, as well as the groceries and the restaurants. I think it's basically it's because they are needed, so they were able to really come up with solutions. And we're hoping that the tourism sector, also the fashion industry, could also adapt to the technology as we approach the new normal.
Got it, got it. Any other questions from our friends from the media in the chat box? If none, I guess the last question is, I think for Brian, there's a question that said, Grab is a company that is known for offering positive tech disruptions. How did the recent pandemic affect your appetite for disruption?
Yeah, I think all the businesses, Grab included, was disrupted because of this pandemic. But because we've always been set up in a way that we're agile and can adapt and can respond very quickly to any kind of disruption, we were able to quickly respond to it, right? We shifted a big part of our organization from transport, which was shut down, to helping with food and Mart, which we launched during the pandemic. We, in fact, also opened a couple more cities for GrabFood during this pandemic. Baguio and I believe Zamboanga or CDO was also opened as new GrabFood cities during the pandemic. So we're not stopping. We're not letting this pandemic and COVID pull us down or slow us down in as much as we could. Because we do believe that as much as we can push our platform forward in the other parts of the country, there will be more people that will benefit from it, both merchants and users. So we continue to do that. It was tough, honestly, during the initial weeks because of the number of people that were affected who rely on the platform, especially around transport. But we were able to quickly sort of regroup and re-strategize to divert certain budget into helping them and divert certain resources into focusing on the business segments that we operate in that matter the most.
Got it, got it.
You know, I'll be happy with less disruption over the next couple of months.
That concludes our session for today. If you guys want to download our social impact report, our team will be flashing the QR code that you can use to get the social impact report. And in your press release, you also have the summary of our support for merchant partners, as well as the summary of GrabBayanihan approach in the Philippines this COVID-19 pandemic. With that said, if you have other questions after this call.
Krhizzy, so I'm just going to clarify one of the questions earlier about the ad spend and the 300% return. Sorry. So the 300% is a 300% on the ROI. So it's basically the increased sales over the spend on the ad. Okay.
Yeah. So whatever you have spent on the, whatever money you've spent to put ads, the return is about 300%. The next question from Roy is that, does each merchant get 300% return?
EJ, do you want to take that?
So the Philippines,
no.
Right. So it's we've seen our best performing ads even do better, actually.
Yeah.
Generally, the Philippines, across what we've seen in other countries, has had one of the best return rates or ROI rates for our Grab ads features. So that's it's not always 300%, but I can confidently say that a lot of partners who have tried the product have seen return rates that have gotten to that level. Obviously, it depends, as it usually does with most ads. But I'm very confident that a lot of our merchants who've run ads in the past, they all generally are happy with the product and are able to reinvest even at higher levels in the future. So it's very promising. I wish I could share concrete details or more, but that's what we can share so far.
Got it, got it. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Final questions? I think I'd end by saying that the digitization of our businesses is not just an approach that Philippines is doing, but an approach that the whole regional country or the regional Southeast Asia markets is doing across all Grab markets. So with that, I'd like to close this first Grab Conversations. Thank you so much, RJ, EJ, Ma'am Cynthia, Nicka, and Brian, and also to all our friends from the media. If you have further questions, please reach out to us from your in your PR team, and we will be happy to assist you. That said, you guys enjoy the rest of the day and be safe. Bye.